2024 ਚ यूएस ਦੇ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ यूएस ਦੇ ਐਕਸ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਡੋਨਲਡ ਟਰੰਪ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਰਿਪਬਲਿਕਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਸਪੀਚ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਵਾਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਰਸ਼ੀਆ ਔਰ ਯੂਕਰੇਨ ਦੀ, ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰਿਜ਼ੋਲਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਯੂਕਰੇਨ ਨੂੰ ਔਰ ਰਸ਼ੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੇਜਰ ਵਰਲਡ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਰਿਜ਼ੋਲਵ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਪੀਚ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਮੇਨ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ 'ਚ।
I'm here today. That's why I'm standing before you, because we are going to finish what we started. We started something that was a miracle. We're going to complete the mission. We're going to see this battle through to ultimate victory. We're going to make America great again. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers. They are people that don't get it, although in some cases they get it. They get it for their wallets, but we can't do that. We can't let that happen. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the political class that hates our country. They actually hate our country. No walls, no borders, bad elections, no voter ID. We will beat the Democrats. We will rout the fake news media. We will expose and appropriately deal with the rhinos. We will evict Joe Biden from the White House. And we will liberate America from these villains and scoundrels once and for all. When we started this journey, a journey like there has never been before, there's never been anything like this. We're not going back to people that want to destroy our great social security system, even some in our own party. I wonder who that might be. That want to raise the minimum age of Social Security to 70, 75, or even 80 in some cases. And that are out to cut Medicare to a level that it will no longer be recognizable. And when that was their original thought, that's what they always come back to. Remember that. You have to remember that. You heard it here first. We are never going back to a party that wants to give unlimited money to fight foreign wars, that are endless wars, that are stupid wars. But at the same time demands that we cut veterans' benefits and retirement benefits at home. Our soldiers will no longer live in the streets of our city. We have cities where our soldiers, our great soldiers, are living on concrete. They're living on asphalt. We will take care of our soldiers. There has never been a time like this. Illegal immigrants come in, and we house them in the Waldorf Astoria and many other of the greatest hotels anywhere in the world. But our soldiers, we do nothing for them. They sleep out at night and they freeze. They freeze in the cold and they die in the heat. While people that came into our country illegally are in beautiful hotel suites, perhaps watching us on television right now. We were taking care of our soldiers just a short while ago, but we don't do that anymore. But we'll start doing it again. Our soldiers are very special to us. When a wonderful town in Ohio has difficulty, we are going to take care of that town, that city, that village, prior to worrying about the rest of the world. We're taking care of the problems of the rest of the world that they're not taking care of themselves. They have us put up the money. You know what I'm talking about. If you look at Ukraine, and we all feel so badly about it, but why isn't NATO putting up dollar for dollar with us? We put up $140 billion, and they put up just a tiny fraction of that. And, you know, we all want to see success, but it's far more important to them than it is to us because of that location. We are never going to be a country ruled by entrenched political dynasties in both parties, rotten special interests, China-loving politicians, of which there are many. You listening to this, Mitch McConnell? Are you listening? And a militant left-wing news media that's either frightened of telling the truth or is truly evil and bad. I don't know. I think in many ways they're frightened. But you never really know which. We are not going back to this mindset, not now, not ever. MS-13, taking them out by the thousands. We set records every single week. We were cleaning up our country. I smashed the false idols of the free trade fanatics. These are fools, or they're getting very rich, probably the second. And left the China lobby reeling from our historic tariffs and taxes that we charge them, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury from China. Thank you very much, China. When no other president had gotten even 10 cents, not one president got anything from them. Our trade deficits were $500, $600, $700 billion a year. Billion, think of it, dollars a year. Not sustainable by any country. They built their military, and they have a very powerful military with the money that we gave them. How stupid are we? I was the only president in modern history who did not have any new wars, no new wars. I finished some old ones. Remember when the Democrats and my Republican opponents would often look at me during the debates or whatever, and they'd say, no, he's going to bring us into World War III because it's a personality type. They said I had the personality. No, I had the personality type that kept us out of wars because people knew that they weren't going to mess around with us. Our enemies are lunatics and maniacs. They cannot stand that they do not own me. I don't need them. I don't need anything about them. I don't need their money. They cannot steer me. They cannot shake me, and they will never, ever control me, and they will never, ever, therefore, control you. You know, I had a beautiful life before I did this. I lived in luxury. I had everything. People said to me, "Are you sure you want to do it, sir?" I said, "Oh, this will be so amazing." What the hell did you get me into? I didn't know the word subpoena. I didn't know the word grand jury, those words, grand jury. I didn't know that they want to lynch you for doing nothing wrong. I didn't know they want to lynch you for doing a great job. I didn't know they want to put you away because your poll numbers are better than anybody they've seen in years. And then they go with the disinformation campaign. First of all, we're leading every Republican by massive numbers. And very importantly, perhaps more importantly, we're leading Biden by a lot. And we're leading Kamala by a lot. And every time the polls go up higher and higher, the prosecutors get crazier and crazier. We got to stop these guys. He says, we have to stop Trump now. We got to stop him now because we can't stop him at the ballot box. You know, they tried that in 2016. How did that work out? Not too good. And we actually, and I have to say this, I hope Fox doesn't turn off, but we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. Much better. And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation right now. We don't have free press. We don't have free anything. The Biden administration is the most corrupt administration in American history. Hunter Biden is a criminal and nothing happened to him. Nothing happened. Joe Biden is a criminal and nothing ever seems to happen to him. I mean, I got 75 million votes. I got more votes than any sitting president in history the second time. And we really did. We did a much better job than we did in 2016. 2020, we did better than 2016. But they say, we want to run against Trump. In the meantime, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to find just a single word, a sentence, anything to prosecute Trump because they don't want to run against me. That's what they say. We want to run against Trump. We'll do anything to run against Trump. They have the greatest line of bullshit of any group of people I've ever seen. They know that when we return to power, we will bring their lies and their corruption and their disinformation tumbling down. At the top of my list, we'll be stopping the slide into costly and never-ending wars. We've got to stop it. Can't keep spending hundreds of billions of dollars protecting people that don't even like us. Talking a lot about China, and I'm looking over, I'm saying him, and I'm studying his face as I'm speaking, because people do like me to go off script a little bit, right? It's a little bit more risky, but it's more exciting. And I'm looking at Gordon, and I'm saying, you know, I hope he agrees with what I'm saying, but basically I'm saying exactly what you say. They're not out for our good, are they? They're not out for our good. And nobody ever taxed them like I did, and nobody ever took any money in like I did. 440 billion. We took in so much money from China. It's so incredible. So it's an honor to have you here. Really, it is. I was the only president in decades that didn't have a war, but I completed wars that were already started, including defeating 100% of the ISIS caliphate. 100%. I was also the only president where Russia didn't take over a country during my term. Russia took over not because I got along with Vladimir Putin very well. I say, Vladimir, don't do it. You know, you and I are friends, don't take over any countries because, you know, Moscow will be hit very hard. I told him things. He probably didn't believe it, but you know what? He believed it 10%. And President Xi believed it when I talked about Beijing. He probably said, I don't believe him, but there's a 10% chance we're not going to do anything. It's true. It's true. You have no idea. These conversations, I wish they could have been recorded, actually. People would think a lot of me. But with Bush, they invaded Georgia, right? With Obama, they took Crimea. With Biden, they're trying to take everything. And he won't even know they took it. And with me, they took nothing. Nothing. And I didn't really even have to threaten them very much. They understood me very well. I wanted them to understand me very well. They knew that they couldn't do it. Putin knew that. President Xi knew it too. Likewise, China now has its eyes strongly focused on Taiwan, and we could soon have a nuclear-armed Iran. That's the saddest thing of all, though, when we talk about Iran. That's the saddest thing when you see I had them in a box. I said to China, you can't buy any oil from Iran. They said, no, we have to buy. We buy millions of barrels a year. And I said, you can't buy, you have to buy from somebody else. No, we'll buy. I said, good. We're not going to do any more trading with China. We're going cold turkey. We will promise you not to buy from Iran. Okay, that was the end of that. You know, that was a conversation I had. I said, if you buy from Iran any oil, we're not going to do any business. Or if for some reason we do, we're going to put 100% tariff on every single thing that you sell into the United States. And they didn't buy any oil. And nobody was buying oil, and they were in a position, had the election not turned out the way it did, they were in a position where they were going to give us everything. We were going to make a great deal. But now they're rich again. China is buying unlimited amounts of oil from Iran, unlimited amounts, and other places. And we've done something else that's terrible. From the time I'm a young man, I learned never allow Russia and China to get together, to wed. Never, ever allow it. And we've not only allowed it, we've made them bosom buddies. We've made them, we forced them together. And you can add another group in there, a nuclear-armed Iran. So the three of them are now together. That should have never been allowed to happen, would have never happened with me. And it was all over oil, our stupid oil policy. We're not going to do it. We have more oil in the United States than any country in the world, including Saudi Arabia. People don't realize it. In Alaska, I approved a site. We all know what the site is. Probably the biggest in the world. And The Democrats said, no, it's over. They turned it down. Ukraine would have been thriving. There would have been no dead people, and there would have been no obliterated cities that can never be rebuilt. Can never rebuild those cities. Russia never would have pulled the trigger. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country, and Joe Biden is leading us into oblivion. He's leading us into oblivion. You know, we all smile when he falls downstairs and things. It's cute. When he falls off his bicycle, isn't this good? You know what amazed me? That the reporters didn't catch him when the bike was going down. They're standing right next to him. They let him fall. And you know, in Afghanistan, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. He was the leader of Afghanistan. I said, Abdul, oh, I got a lot of criticism. Remember when I was talking to him? Everyone said, oh, he's talking to the leader of the Taliban. That's right, because our soldiers were being killed, a lot of them by snipers. And I didn't want that. I don't want to deal with the problems, and I don't want to talk to the mothers and fathers, who I would speak to a lot. I don't want to talk to them and tell them their son was shot through the head from 2,000 yards away by a sharpshooter. They have very good sharpshooters. So I spoke to this man, his name was Abdul, and I said, Abdul, don't kill any more of our soldiers, because if you kill our soldiers, we're going to hit you harder than any country has ever been hit in the history of the world. And he called me Your Excellency. He was, you know, I got along with him. He's still there. He's still the leader of the Taliban, but now he's got $85 billion worth of our equipment that I bought. $85 billion. I said to General Milley, I want every piece of equipment. Sir, I think it would be cheaper to leave it behind, sir. That's what I lost faith. The biggest, most powerful runways in the world, we built it many years ago for tens of billions of dollars. And we gave it away one night. We just left the lights on. We did leave the dogs behind. Everyone says, oh, did they take the dogs? Because they're dog lovers, right? No, we left the dogs behind. And the Taliban doesn't like dogs, by the way, not at all. But we left in disgrace. It was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, in my opinion. And it probably is what caused Putin to say, wow, Trump is gone. This is a great time to take over Ukraine, right? It's probably a reason that happened. But I stand here today, and I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. And you're going to have World War III, by the way. You're going to have World War III. If something doesn't happen fast, you're going to have World War III. In fact, it was so good that the media didn't mind that I called. I took a lot of heat, tremendous heat. Why do you call him? I said, well, you know, they asked Jesse James, the great bank robber from many years ago, why is it that you robbed banks? Why do you always go after banks? And he looked at him, he says, because that's where the money is. Well, I spoke to Abdul because that's where the problem was. But we went 18 months until that horrible day when we lost 13 soldiers. And you know, the thing that nobody ever talks about, we lost 13, we lost $85 billion worth of the greatest military equipment in the world. Goggles, night goggles that are so good, so sophisticated, better than anything we have, brand new, never even taken out of the box. And you know, the Afghans, and they're actually very good. The Taliban are good fighters. Afghan, because it's really very much the same thing, frankly. They didn't fight good for us, but they fought good for themselves, and they took a lot of money from us. I asked General Mattis, I said, you know, we got to get out of there. They've been there for 20 years. We got to get out of there. Sir, they're fighting for their country, sir. I said, that's right. I guess they are. Then about 2 days later, I was thinking about it. I said, I don't know why. Because, you know, we had more blue on green, green on blue, where they'd get their gun and then they'd shoot our master sergeants and our sergeants that are training them. I said, why are they fighting for us if we've never had this problem to the extent that we had it? But he said that. He said, they're fighting. And I said, are we paying them a lot of money to fight? And I had it checked. Yeah, we were paying billions and billions and billions of dollars to these Afghan soldiers. Tens of billions of dollars. I said, they're not fighting, General. I called them back in. They're not fighting because they love us or they love their country. They're fighting because they're the highest paid soldiers in the world. We're basically bribing them to fight. And they didn't fight, but The Taliban did fight. Same people, but the Taliban did fight. But they didn't kill anybody for 18 months. I'm very proud. In fact, Biden got up and he actually said that. They didn't kill anybody. I will say that. They didn't kill anybody for 18 months. And you know what happened? His people start screaming, "Don't say that!" Because that's a good thing for us. But then when we left, we lost soldiers, 13 killed. But what they don't talk about, they talk about the equipment, they talk about the fact that there are still to this day a lot of Americans in there that we've lost contact with. It's a rough place. But they don't talk about the fact that many of these soldiers were absolutely destroyed. Destroyed. They lost their arms, they lost their legs, they had their face blown off, and they were absolutely destroyed. And they don't talk about that. They don't talk about it. And it's very sad because these people, many of them, we lost 13, they died, but nobody ever talks about the gravity of the injuries to these soldiers. You know what they did? They left 700,000 rifles and guns, 700,000. They left 70,000 vehicles, 70,000, many of them brand new, many of them armor-plated, where they have 6 inches of steel in the bottom. Cost you millions of dollars to build. And they left that all behind. There's not a car company, used car lot, new car lot, anywhere in the world that would have 70,000 vehicles. 70,000 vehicles. So now I read the other day that the Taliban, that Afghanistan, is the second largest seller of arms anywhere in the world because they're selling everything that we gave them. The Apache helicopter, which is the best in the world, they gave one to Russia, gave it. They gave one to China, and they're very good. They take it apart and they reduplicate it. They take it apart, they reduplicate it because they've never been able to build one like we have. Now they're able to do it because they're very smart, actually. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly. Quickly. I will get the problem solved, and I will get it solved in rapid order, and it will take me no longer than one day. I know exactly what to say to each of them. I got along very well with them. Now we have complete chaos. Fentanyl is pouring in. Families are being wiped out, destroyed, and there's death everywhere, all caused by incompetence. Millions of illegal aliens are stampeding across our border. Interior enforcement has been shut down. Everyone is overstaying their visas. Nobody even thinks about reporting it anymore. My wonderful travel ban is gone. I had a travel ban. It was so wonderful. Refugee numbers are through the roof, and spies and terrorists are infiltrating our country totally unchecked like never before. When I'm back in the White House, the very first reconciliation bill I will sign will be for a massive increase in Border Patrol and a colossal increase in the number of ICE deportation officers. And I will stop Joe Biden's demolition of our economy with his crushing inflation and mass layoffs. We will take care of inflation very, very quickly. 4.9 million people have dropped out of the labor force since I was president. If American products do not receive preferential treatment in their markets, our military is packed up and leaving. Which some countries I did that with, and usually it took a phone call and everything was just fine. Because economic security is national security, I will revoke China's most favored nation's trade status immediately on day one. And I will implement a 4-year plan to phase out all Chinese imports of essential goods and gain total independence from China. We have to do it. I will hold China financially accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. And I will again withdraw from the WHO, which stands for We Hide Outbreaks. We hide outbreaks. The United States was paying the World Health Organization $450 million a year. Now, in terms of money and the kind of trillions and trillions we're talking about, it's not that much, but it's still $450 million a year. And I took them out. That's what it was. The price was $450, and that's for 350 million people. China was paying $39 million a year for 1.4 billion people. Doesn't sound too right. And they had total control, by the way. We had no control. They literally own it. When I withdrew from the WHO, they offered me to stay in. Please don't leave. Please, please, please. For what China pays. They said, we'll bring it down to 39 million. I was actually close to doing this deal, if you want to know the truth, but I would have had it. You would have been angry at me. I said, I don't want to have CPAC angry at me. But I might have gone back in. But I could have done it for 39. I could have probably done it for less than that. But now Biden has gone back for the full price of $450 million. Now, all he has to do is read the newspapers. They were begging me to come back in for $39 million. So why would you pay $450 million? Do you understand that? And we have no control, by the way. China controls WHO. So that's what it does. WHO is totally controlled by China. We could have saved $400 million a year. It's a lot of money. And now they're asking for even more dictatorial power and more and more and more of our money, but they're getting nothing more from China. When we're dealing with the Biden administration, it seems that every single day is April Fool's Day. Every day. They want an open border so that anybody can come in, and everybody else wants it to be closed. It's April Fool's. We want an open border. That's April Fool's. We want voter ID. They don't want voter ID. Who wouldn't want voter ID? 88% of the Democrats, except for the leadership, because they can't cheat with voter ID. But 88% of the Democrats want voter ID. But they don't want voter ID. It's April Fool's Day. They want to take the soldiers out of Afghanistan before we take our people and equipment out. But we want the soldiers to come out last. So then they blow it into a catastrophe, the most embarrassing event in the history of our country. It's April Fool's Day. They want all electric cars that don't go very far. I have a friend, he bought a car. He said, the car's wonderful, but you know, I go for an hour and a half and I got to put a charger and I can't find the charger. I'm going crazy. And also all the batteries and everything, the material comes all out of China. We have oil and gas, but we don't want the oil and gas cars. But we want everything, including electric cars, but we also want gasoline because the cars go longer and they're preferred by many people. We don't like quick drives that are stopped for 2.5 hours. It's April Fool's. They want all electric stoves all over the country, but we don't have the electric power for that. And we want electric stoves, but we also want gas stoves. It's April Fool's. Why do they want that? They want windmills all over the place that ruin our fields, kill our birds, and are very unreliable, and are the most expensive energy ever developed. We want oil, gasoline, natural gas, because it's cheaper, better, and much more powerful. It's April Fool's Day. Under my leadership, we will regain energy independence that we had 3 years ago. We were on our way to massive energy dominance. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. CPAC, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.